Hello and welcome to another Tri-tutors video. In today's video we're going to be analysing the poem The Sun Rising by Donne. So firstly, a bit about our poet. Donne was an English poet who lived between 1572 and 1631. Only a few of his poems were published during his lifetime, but after his death, when his poems were published, we can see the themes of religion and love are common themes in his works. He is known as a metaphysical poet. He uses a lot of hyperbole and metaphor to express his sentiments, and he has a distinctive way of integrating thought and feeling in his writing. The title is The Sun Rising, and this title shows us what prompts the speaker's thoughts and messages that are imbued in the poem. So this is sort of the catalyst for why the poem has been written, what triggers this reflection or this reaction, as we'll see in the first stanza. Busy old fool, unruly sun, why dost thou thus, through windows and through curtains, call on us? Must to thy motions lover's season run? Saucy pedantic wench, go chide late schoolboys and sour apprentices. Go tell court huntsmen that the king will ride. Call country ants to harvest offices. Love, all alike, no season, knows no clime, nor hours, days, months, which are the rags of time. The poem starts off very boldly with the line, busy old fool, unruly sun. And so we can see the use of the figure of speech of apostrophe, because the speaker addresses the sun directly as though the sun is a person capable of purposefully intruding. Busy old fool, this could show that he thinks the sun is meddling, and unruly means disruptive or disorderly. So we can see here already there's a very assertive confrontational tone as the speaker accuses the sun of disrupting him purposefully. He says, why dost thou thus? Like, why must you be like this? Why are you like this? Through windows and through curtains call on us. So the sunlight is pouring through the windows and curtains. As we saw from the title, the sun is rising. This is what happens. The rays of light are coming through the curtains and the window. And he's like, why are you calling on us? Meaning, like, what are you demanding from us? You're demanding our attention. Why are you doing that? The question mark here signifies the sense of direct speech, the sense that this is a direct conversation that is being had with the sun. It really makes it authentic, like he's actually posing a question to him. But obviously it's rhetorical because the sun cannot answer, but also the speaker just continues to talk after that. Must to thy motions lovers' seasons run? He's like, why are you calling on us? Must love be controlled by you? Must it fit your schedule like the seasons? The sun decides the schedule of the seasons. He says, are you calling on us because you're saying our love must, follow your schedule? Saucy, pedantic wretch. So here he is insulting. There's this mocking tone to what he says. He says, you bold villain, and pedantic is when you follow the rules. So he's saying he's calling the sun inflexible. And here we can see this sense of hyperbole in his reaction, because he is, and irony, I suppose, because he's expecting the sun to cater to him. He's like, why aren't you letting me alone with my lover? I don't want to leave the room where I'm with my lover. Why are you not changing your schedule for me? Why are you deciding that now we have to wake up and face the world? Go chide late schoolboys and sour apprentices. He says he's very demanding. You can notice how he's ordering the sun around with all these imperative verbs. Chide means like to scold or rebuke. So in these next couple lines, the next 4 lines, the speaker orders the sun to go and engage in other activities. He says, go disturb all these different people, but just leave me and my lover alone. Let us bask in our love in this room. Let's not face the outside world. So he says you must go and rebuke late schoolboys and sour apprentices. Apprentices meaning apprentices. Go tell court huntsmen that the king will ride. Call country ants to harvest officers. So country ants meaning farmers, to harvest officers, they must go about their harvesting duties. He says, go and disturb them, wake them up, make them do what they need to do, but leave me and my lover alone. So as I said, these lines show the other activities the sun should be doing instead of disrupting the speaker and his lover. Notice how he goes from children, then to interns, then to the king, and to adults. So this progression indicates that perhaps he believes his love is apparently more important than all these other things. That's why he's like, son, go and disturb them, don't disturb me and my lover. So there's definitely this air of superiority about the speaker. Love, all alike, no season knows nor clime. In all like, meaning in all forms, in all ways, does not bend to seasons or to climate. It is superior to these things, nor hours, days, months, which are the rags of time. He says love is forever. It can't be measured. Love does not follow time or calendars, which other things would. He says time is unimportant to love or to the speaker, because love is everlasting. It goes beyond the sense of time. Rags of time. Here we can see this metaphor, we can see this imagery, because if you think of a rag, it's something that's unimportant. So he's comparing time to a rag here, something so unimportant. Love is forever. Love is not like the rags of time. Thy beams, so reverent and strong, why shouldest thou think I could eclipse and cloud them with a wink? But that I would not lose her sight so long, if her eyes have not blinded thine. Look, and tomorrow late tell me, whether both the Indias of spice and mine be where thou left'st them, or lie here with me. Ask for those kings whom thou sawest yesterday, and thou shalt hear, all here in one bed lay. So as the speaker is sort of lying in bed with his lover and and in the first stanza he chides the sun and says the sun must go away and leave them to be. Now in the second stanza he's going to become even more sort of aggressive towards the sun, stop mocking the sun, and ultimately is going to introduce one of the key metaphors that's going to go into the third stanza. So he says, thy beams so reverent and strong. He says, your beams, your sunlight, your rays of sun, people think that the sunlight is so strong, that the rays are so strong, that they should be idolized and respected. And he says, why shouldst thou think? He poses the question, why should you think that? And now we're going to see that he's going to argue his point. So he poses the question in the first two lines, and then he argues his point. And he says, well, he's casting doubt on the fact that you should revere the sunlight, because he says, I could eclipse and cloud them with a wink. He says if he wants to, he can eclipse, meaning block or obscure or cover the sunlight just with a wink, by closing his eyes. Notice the alliteration, eclipse and cloud, that harsh C alliteration, and also the soft W alliteration with a wink. And so both of these sounds emphasize how the sunlight seems to be something harsh and something to be idolized, yet he can very easily just shut it off. But, and now he's going to say a contrast, he's going to argue why he can't just forget about the sun and close his eyes, and this is why he continues to address the sun later on, because he can't just get rid of him, because he's not willing to close his eyes. That I would not lose her sight so long, because he doesn't want to close his eyes, because he doesn't want to lose sight of his lover. So here we get the theme of love definitely shining through. If her eyes have not blinded thine. So he says, and now he's going to offer a compliment to his lover, and he says, I'm not going to close my eyes because I don't want to lose sight of my lover, but maybe her eyes have blinded your sunshine. He basically says her eyes could rival yours because they are so bright. You claim that your sunlight rays are so bright, but my lover's eyes are so bright. Look, he commands the sun again, go out, and he says, and tomorrow late tell me, and you can report back to me tomorrow, whether both the Indias of spice and mine be where thou left'st them. So he instructs the sun to go and search for both Indias, meaning the East Indies and the West Indies, which are a long way from England. So he really wants the sun to leave to go check on these places. And he says, go and see if they're there where you left them. He's sort of trying to get rid of the sun, get him to do something else. And then he has this, I wouldn't call it a shift, but now we're going to have the introduction of this key metaphor. Or lie here with me. He says, or are they lying here with me? So In this way, we can see the speaker mocks the sun's supposed power and says, okay, things go check, go see if the two Indias are actually where they're supposed to be, or if I actually seized the whole world, which is going to come later, and put it into my room. Have I actually gone against your power and diminished you of yet that power? Ask for those kings whom thou sawest yesterday. So once again, the use of imperatives he's commanding. He says, ask those kings who you saw yesterday, and thou shalt hear all here in one bed lay. And he says, you will hear that they are all here in this very bed. So this hints at the next stanza about how the speaker is so in love that the whole world seems to be in the room with him and his lover. There is nothing outside of this location which interests him. The whole world, we're going to see in the next stanza, is encompassed in his room. And so here he claims that the two Indias, that the sun should go check on them because he may have taken them and put them in this little form of the world he has in his room. And the same with the kings who we saw yesterday. She's all states and all princes. I, nothing else is. Princes do but play us, compared to this. All honours mimic, all wealth alchemy. Thou, son, art half as happy as we, in that the world's contracted thus. Thine age asks ease, and since thy duties be to warm the world, that's done in warming us. Shine here to us, and thou art everywhere. This bed thy centre is, these walls thy sphere. We start off this stanza with two metaphors, where he claims that she's all states, his lover is all countries, and all princes I, and that he is all the princes who control all these countries. Nothing else is. This is an example of hyperbole and over-exaggeration. He says there is nothing outside of them that exists. Nothing else is significant. Princes do but play us. He says other people who claim to be outside of this room, they mimic us, they copy us. Compared to this, all honors mimic all wealth alchemy. So compared to the love that he and his lover share, all honor is meaningless and all wealth is futile, basically. So the speaker and his lover are the centers of the universe and almost the entire universe itself. And this line where he claims that all honors mimic and all wealth alchemy, this speaks to the speaker's arrogance. His arrogance is reinforced in these lines, as he says not only, because he doesn't just disregard the sun, but now at the start he disregards the whole world and basically claims that all the countries in the world are within this room, that nothing else exists around it. And then he goes further and he says also the ideas of honor and the idea of wealth are just completely meaningless and they don't exist. And if they do exist in some version, then they're not truthful ideas. So he's basically making everything about him and his lover, and they're at the center of the universe. Thou, sun, art half as happy as we. So think about the sun. It's usually a symbol of happiness, but here the speaker claims to be even more joyous than the sun. He says, you are only half as happy as us. So you can see the arrogance, you can see the hyperbole. In that the world's contracted thus. He says the world has been minimized. The speaker's priorities have changed. He only thinks of his lover, and so his entire world, when he used to maybe think about all different countries and all different ideas and all different people, now his whole world is almost condensed because he is only prioritizing his lover. So it's like the world has contracted into this one room. Thine age asks ease, and since thy duties be to warm the world, that's done in warming us. So now he has another little dig at the sun, and he insults the sun, and he says, thine age asks ease, like, son, you are very old, you must take it easy. So this insult goes back to the very first line when he says that the sun is an old fool. And he says, and since your duty is to warm the world, your duty is to heat the earth, that's done in warming us. He says, so if you warm us, meaning the speaker and the lover, then you would have warmed the whole world. You don't really have to move because the world to the speaker has completely shrunk into this room. So he says, the sun, you can just warm us. You don't have to warm the whole world because the whole world is already in this room. Shine here to us. Still, he's commanding the sun. Yet there's a contradiction from the first stanza. So earlier he requested for the sun to leave. Remember, he gave all those other options of what the sun should be doing. But now, so earlier he's like, go disturb the world. But now the world has sort of been destroyed or been condensed into this room. So the sun must stay and offer its warmth to sustain this version of the world that he has crafted, that he has created. This contracted version where he can just focus on his lover. And thou art everywhere. So he says, and the sun can go everywhere across the whole room, and therefore it could encompass the entire world. This bed thy center is, these walls thy sphere. He says this bed is the center of the earth. The lovers are the center of the universe. These walls, the walls of the bedroom, thy sphere, are the boundaries of the sun's power. So he's restricted the sun into catering to his world because he believes that all the important things are within that room, and that's only what he should be caring about. The structure of this poem, we have 3 stanzas of 10 lines each, following an A, B, B, A, C, D, C, D, E, E rhyme scheme in each stanza. On my version, you also notice the indentations and the different line lengths. And those different line lengths are important because the long lines tend to explain this extended metaphor, whereas the short lines can be indicative of this aggressive or assertive tone where he is sort of shouting and demanding the sun to do this or that. Notice the extended metaphor in the poem. The sun is the extended metaphor for real life, perhaps, which can disturb or interfere within a relationship. So this is why the speaker is against the sun, because the sun can be representative of other forces or other things in the world that can disrupt a new relationship. Another extended metaphor to think about, which relates to the theme and the message of the poem, is the strength and power of love. And that's shown through the extended metaphor of the world contracting to fit in his room, right? That's not literal. He's not actually claiming that all the countries in the world are actually in his room, but he's talking about what's important in his life is all within that room, and what he's going to care about and what's significant. And so that whole the world fitting into his room signifies that theme of the strength, the power, the authority of love, that it can control in a person. It can really have this sense of authority over a person. The tone you can describe as confrontational, condescending, brazen, assertive. At times it's a bit mocking, and there's definitely that commanding energy. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you found that video helpful. Please remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.